Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and today we're working on another of the Blindside creations. This is, let me grab my thing, pattern 183562 over on BraceletBook. This one is basically, it's a fancy candy with a really wide stripe going down the middle, so there's only two on either of the sides, two knots going in one direction, and then the whole middle kind of doing a different thing. And just to make that extra special, there are three knots going the other direction as well, like right in the middle. If you were wondering why I didn't do hearts on that other heart-shaped video, the little tiny ones, you can take a look here and tell me whether or not you think these things look like a hearts. Like there's the blue in there already, right? Like just three little knots. To me, it just looks like an arrow pointing in a direction. Now, while I was doing this, I was live streaming, and Minute Craft was saying that she thought they looked kind of heart-shaped up until the point that they flipped and started going the other direction. And then she thought, like, well, the ones going the other directions don't look like hearts at all. They look like arrows. And to me, the whole thing, the whole three little knots, in that particular thing don't look like a heart to me. A heart is kind of rounded and comes around, and there's more to it than just what you can convey on three little dots in a part of a graph paper. So that said, this bracelet was, it doesn't, you can't do the knots in much more than these little spaces at a time. There's no segment knotting. There's no easy way of approaching it. It's just sort of working two rows kind of at a time for the most part. If you watch the way I do it, I think I really did it in a way that it was perhaps as easy as possible. But even then, I kind of questioned, like, was there possibly a faster, easier way? I don't know. The whole thing took just over an hour, like an hour and 2 or hour and 3 minutes. So it wasn't so terribly complicated that it ended up taking a lot longer than normal. As you may know, a 12-string bracelet like this, basically an hour is right about the right amount of time that it should take. But for something that looks relatively easy, I can tell you the whole time I was just like, wow, this is really something else. This is far from easy. And being a bracelet that's only two knots, either the right knot or the left knot, that's all it's in this thing, it still turns out to being difficult. It's you know, I was watching the pattern for the most part, to make sure that I was going in the right directions. I was making the right choices. Yeah, it's just a little bit more complicated than your basic candy stripe ones, you know, or the fancy candy ones. But that said, it's a really kind of cool looking bracelet. And the fact that the little pointy things change directions halfway through, but the rest of the stuff stays the same, it kind of feels like there's something really interesting about that. Like when you look at it from a distance, you can kind of spot, like, whoa, something's going on there, and then you can see where the two come together. So it's an orange and a red that are right up next to each other, kind of pointing at each other. So it's really kind of cool. I like that a lot. And if you think that this is a heart shape, then the bonus is you got hearts going in two different directions. So no matter where somebody is, you know, which side of a person is looking at your wrist, then they see the heart shapes. If you think it's arrows, well, then it's pointing to the center, and you know, maybe that's they are the center of your universe kind of thing, right? Kind of a nice little message if you're giving this as a gift. But yeah, it's a cool looking bracelet. It's a fun way of using a rainbow. It's also nice because the way that the colors actually flow through this, you got green in the middle of red, you've got the yellow in the middle of purple, and the orange in the middle of the blue. And that's great because those are the colors that are across from each other on the circle of colors, right? So like those are supposed to go together the best, and it just makes it really cool. It just makes the colors pop and look really awesome. So yeah, I think that's pretty neat. It didn't feel like it's very repetitive, but it didn't feel so much because it was constantly changing up the colors. And then like as I was getting near the middle, I'm like, oh, it's gonna change at this red that's coming up. Like that's really cool. Like I could kind of spot in advance like what was gonna happen kind of thing, and like that was pretty cool. But well, as you well know, if you're a member and watch the behind the scenes things, I have a gravity timer that lets me know like when I've done a half hour, so I can make sure I cut the videos, so that way it's less like, because if the video is too long, it takes too long to edit it. So I like try to chop it up into half-hour segments. And yeah, I was right around the middle when the first 30 minutes stopped. That got me kind of excited, and yeah, it was. I have to admit, I'm really pleased with myself for like how well the progress on this thing went. And so like, yeah, I think that's the red right there that is part of the middle. So since we're at the middle, let me just go ahead and thank my YouTube members for making this possible. Yeah, we're going through a bunch of string here this month, having kind of a lot of fun with it as well, so that's good. But yeah, the contributions they make help keep this channel going, as well as the motivation of knowing that there's people who want to see me succeed. So thank you guys so much for that. Yeah, I'm kind of eager to get into seeing what the next one's going to be. I feel like this month has been a lot of like pushing myself outside of my comfort zone, and I'm kind of curious what else is there for me, because this one definitely felt like a gotcha kind of a bracelet. Like the whole overall what it took to make it was like, wow, that's definitely something I would not have like thought of or tried on my own, despite the fact it's essentially it is a fancy candy, you know. But and a fancy candy with only 12 strings, you would think can't be that difficult, but there's so much going on. The way that the part that's reversed is really wide down the middle, leaving just a little bit on the edges, that makes it partially harder. And then to have something else going on inside of the stripe going the other way, that makes it harder. So yeah, I would be kind of tempted in do it without the hearts, just to see how that wide space down the middle, what that was like, and then maybe try it with some like other shapes or something inside there. Maybe it's something that I will ponder and possibly come up with later on when I'm looking for something else to do. This might actually spark some ideas of like potential that could be maybe a little bit easier, but also maybe just interesting and different. So yeah, we'll see what we come up with. But yeah, if you guys want to contribute, have send in a pattern number for me, go ahead. All I need is the pattern number, which website it came from, and the number of strings, so I can have my templates ready to go. It just makes it a little bit faster than me having to count out the strings or whatever and then pull one up. Because yeah, I kind of like this whole series of doing the blindsided creations. I like the fact that there's something that, you know, trying to create something different. Like in this case, I reversed the direction of the little arrows, right? So it took the design and changed it up in such a way that it becomes interesting. It becomes something different than the original, and it's something that I don't think really works well on those web pages, because they want small segments that repeat, and they just, you know, they just show you that in the pattern. What I've done is you changed up so you have the whole bracelet in the pattern, and you have a change up happening right in the middle of it. So I think that that does not work well with the other web pages. So yeah, this one you can't probably submit the new version or whatever, but that's okay. It's something we can still make on our own. And if you do make it, I'd like to see that. You can send me a link over on Discord. Well, send me the image via Discord, and then I'll check it out. Because yeah, I do like seeing what you guys make. There's a lot of real creative people out there that are doing bracelets, and yeah, I like to know that I'm inspiring. So if you make this, maybe change up the colors, or you do something else different with it, I'd love to see that. I don't know how much there is left of this. It doesn't, I know that made the video kind of short. Oh yeah, so that's the blue that hits the end and comes back. Yeah, that we are really close to the end. Yeah, I got pretty hyped about this whole bracelet, by the way. I was kind of, I don't know if I want to do it when I started, and then it kind of got more exciting as I went along. So yeah, there's the purple strings are done. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, if you have any other suggestions, ideas, things that I ought to try, let me know. I'm always open for ideas. So, oh, and then the reveal, I show you the front and the back of it. I think the back turned out looking kind of cool on this one. This one, I don't think I'd feel bad if somebody wore it backwards. So most of the time I hate it. I honestly don't like that, but this one I think will look cool. So here comes the big reveal. Thanks for hanging out with me, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.